Are you sure?
Yes,
Just
I
here
did
to
the
watch
last
it.
time, I'm just here
Okay.
watching.
Well, before I talk about my race, I want to tell you all, Judy Jack-Sedek is running to replace me in Missouri House of Representatives.
She's been here twice already.
Okay, I know that.
Well, we got new people.
But
He's a big commercial.
I want you all to sign up for a yard sign for Gina, all right?
Absolutely.
There are way too many Def Lavender signs out there.
Yes.
Way too many, and Gina needs to get her sign, so you all need
I'll
to take
take one.
I
Get a
brought a
sign.
bunch with me.
Oh,
Thank you
good.
for doing, I have a bunch in my car.
Yep, Gina, we need to have Gina down in the state legislature. We do not need Deb Lavender. Gina has great record of service in Kirkwood. She's on the city council. all right? Deb Lavender has done nothing in Kirkwood for all the years she's lived there, except run against me 3 times, and now Gina. She's put her signs out 7 times.
Yeah,
She's
make
done
signs.
no volunteer work, no nothing in Kirkwood. She doesn't deserve to be elected, because we don't even know who she is, to be honest with you. And yet she just keeps running. The Democrats think they're going to win this time, so definitely help Gina. She's a great gal. She'll be a leader down in Jefferson City in our caucus. She's smart. She's got great qualifications. She knows how to listen to people. She's somebody Jack talked about working together. Gina can do that. She's proven it on the Kirkwood City Council. We need to have her down in Jefferson City. All right.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right. The race of the state. This county executive race is the race for the state of Missouri this year. Make no mistake about it. The state auditor race is now in contest. The Democrats did not file a candidate. First time in 148 years that a major party in Missouri has not fielded a candidate in a statewide race. The Democrats are dispirited, they're disappointed, and in this particular race, the 2 Democrats, you might have seen some commercials, Julie and Stenger are beating the living daylights out of each other, okay? So they're gonna spend about $1 million each in this primary to just beat each other up. So we have a great opportunity this year to win this race. A great opportunity. First time in 24 years we can get the Republican county executive in there. And what does that mean for the Republican Party in the state of Missouri? This is what it means. We win St. Louis County Executive this year, the largest Democrat voting county in the state. In 2016, people like Eric Schmidt and Kurt Schaefer and all the other people, Peter Kinner, whoever's going to run statewide, they are in a much better position now to win statewide. And here's why, because the National Democratic Party will look at Missouri and say, well, it used to be a bellwether state, you know, now it's trended red. The last 2 elections, it's voted against Obama, and massive amounts against his health care plan. They're going to look at this state and say, well, if the largest Democrat voting county just elected a Republican, what chance do we have to win this state in the presidential election of 2016? Therefore, they're likely maybe not to spend any money in this state to win presidentially, which means the turnout for Democrats gets lower, and we have a much better chance of winning statewide offices. And if we want to accomplish a lot of the things through the legislature and not have the vetoes of the governor, we need to have the governor's office as well as lieutenant governor all the way down the line. So it's extremely important that we win this race, and we are in a great position this year to do it. We did a poll. I paid $28,000 to have a poll run. It wasn't out of my checking account, it was out of my campaign account. The poll was done by the same company who polled 4 years ago when Bill Corrigan was running. And everything that was positive about Charlie Dooley 4 years ago is now down in the dumps. 20%, 30%. Re-electability, favorability, job performance, all that stuff is down 20, 30%. Right? Which is why, one of the reasons he has such a difficult primary to get through. Right? So, and when my information is placed before these voters in this poll, nothing negative about Charlie or Stenger, but they just explain what I've done, and I'll explain that a little bit. I win pretty convincingly, like 30 points. Now, I'm not going to win the race by 30 points, but the point is, if I raise the money, which is going to be about $1 million, and get my message out, and we just filmed TV on Monday, and we've got the radio ads coming up starting in a couple of days. Very positive message about who I am and what I've done and what I want to do in the county. I think we're going to make a big difference, and we're going to win this race. I'm confident that we are. A little bit about myself. A lot of you already know me, of course, being your representative out here, but I just want to throw a few other things in there. I've lived in St. Louis County all my life, in Kirkwood. I'm second oldest of 8 children. When I was 14, my dad passed away suddenly, and we had no money. My mom was a widow now with 8 young children, 16 down to 9 months old. We had no insurance, no income, no money. So we had been working, cutting grass from the time we were 8 or 9 months old. 8 or 9 years old. There's 7 boys and a girl. I was 14 and I started painting houses an extra. I painted 4 houses in Kirkwood. One of them was a pathologist house at St. Joseph Hospital, which is over where Aberdeen Heights is right now. He hired me to work in the lab that fall. I don't know if he gave me the job because he thought I did a good job painting his house, or he knew I had no future in house painting. Either way, I got the job. I worked there nearly full-time through high school and college. Everything we earned, of course, we gave to Mom so she could pay the bills and keep the family running. I graduated from Merrimack and then UMSL and went into the Navy. This was back in 1971. The Vietnam War was going, of course, and all of us boys had to serve one way or the other. So I enlisted in the Navy, went to officer candidate school, and was commissioned an officer. Went to a ship. I was a navigator on my ship and served 4 years in the Navy. That's where I got my first leadership training, in the Navy. The military is a great place to go if you want to be taught how to be a leader. And now, of course, women are going into, so I tell young people, if you want to be a leader, try to get in the military because it's really good for you. So that's where I first started to learn how to be a leader, how to manage people and do all the other things you need to do to lead. When I got out of the Navy, I got married to my wife, Ellen. We've been married 38 and a half years, have 4 kids and 3 grandkids, which we all live in Kirkwood, you know. I went to work for the Department of Defense as a budget project manager. Did that for almost 30 years. In the meantime, I was on the Kirkwood School Board for 12 years. I was president 2 of those years. I retired early from the government job in 2006 at the urging of people like Rich McGee and others to run for the 94th District, as it was labeled back then. It was all Kirkwood Repair, against an incumbent. You might remember the name, Jane Bugello. I won that election in 2006, a terrible Republican year, by the way. It was one of the few Republicans who took out an incumbent Democrat in the entire country, as it turned out. So I've been in the legislature for 8 years, on the budget committee all 8 years. I've been the vice chairman and chairman for 6 of those 8 years. I'm currently the chairman, of course. The Missouri legislature, unlike the federal government, we balance our budget every year. We've cut spending, we've lowered taxes, and we have a AAA bond rating. One of only 7 states that have a AAA bond rating from all 3 bonding agencies. So we've done our job in Missouri fiscally, and we can be proud of that, I think.
Who's the chairman of the budget committee?
Oh, I'm the chairman of the budget committee. I do work with the Senate. You know, it's, I'll get into that later. We have done our job. In addition, this particular year, I was the House handler, the House sponsor for the education of the student transfer bill. You know about the unaccredited school districts up in North County, Riverview and Normandy. I handled the bill in the House. And frankly, to be honest with you, as my mother used to say, breaking my arm, patting myself on the back, the sponsor of the bill and Tim Jones said, Rick, there was only one person in the Missouri House who would have passed this bill through the House, and it was you. Because I had the credibility with my education background and my ability to work with a lot of people in the legislature on both sides of the aisle to get that job done. And we did pass it. Unfortunately, of course, the governor vetoed it because of one little issue. We allowed kids to go to private schools, non-sectarian schools in their own district, to get out of those failing schools that they were in. So I have a lot of leadership and management experience that I think as we go forward will make a difference in this campaign. And also when I am the county executive, we're going to turn this county around. Okay? We have a 55,000 net job loss the last 10 years. 55,000 jobs. Who in this room or in this county, other than the diehard Dooley fans, think that this county is being run properly? Nobody does, right? There's corruption, mismanagement, and incompetence at high levels in county government, and that has to stop. And I'm going to stop it. I've got 42 years of management and leadership experience. I know how to hire people. I know how to train them and evaluate them. I have to fire them occasionally when they don't do the job. I know how to do that. I've worked in bureaucracy, so I know how to reduce the size of the bureaucracy. In the Missouri legislature, we've cut 10% of the state workforce in the last 8 years, from 60,000 down to 54,000. That's something that most people don't even know, don't even talk about. We should talk about that more. That's a major success on the part of the legislature, because that's where the money, the taxpayer dollars go in a bureaucracy, or in a government. It goes to the people who are working for the bureaucracy. In a school district, 80% of the budget is personnel. And in our state, it's the same way. So we've cut 10% this year, in this year's budget that starts next year. Actually started in 2015 this year. I cut another 1% out. So that's how you do it. And as a county executive, I will look at all the departments, do audits, and have reviews of every department so that we can determine where the waste, fraud, and abuse is. We know there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We don't have to determine if there is some. We know that there's waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, there may be different levels. I think it's mostly waste, to be honest with you. But there is some fraud and abuse that we'll root out too. But it's all about leadership. Charlie talks about his experience. Well, our experience with Charlie has been disastrous. I mean, he's not a leader in any shape or sense of the word. So we've got to have somebody in there who's a real leader, who's had experience leading people for 40 years like I have, and who can make a difference, and who will turn this county around. We've got to create a climate where business wants to operate in St. Louis County. The rules and regulations now are stifling. I've heard from so many business people, men and women who have small and medium-sized businesses, who say it's impossible to work with St. Louis County. It takes 3 weeks instead of 3 hours to get a permit, or 3 months. I mean, it's ridiculous. So we've got to turn all of that around, put in place honest, professional people who will view public service the way I do. And that is that we public servants serve the public, not the other way around. So we're going to, like I said, we're going up on radio and TV in a couple of days. Look for the ads. They're going to be positive about me and what I've done and who I am and what I want to do for the county. And then tell all your friends. Here's my one ask of you. You can all get yard signs if you want, please. But when you talk to somebody, get out of your comfort zones. We all send these emails to everybody we know, and we're all getting the same emails. All right, that's great. But talk to your friends and neighbors and your people at church who may not be politically active or politically in tune with the way you believe. And just ask them this question. Do you think St. Louis County government's being run properly? If they say anything but yes, then say, Rick Streeting is the guy that can change all of that. He's the one that can make the difference in St. Louis County and turn this county around so that the people of this county, as I remember when I was growing up, it was a great place to live, work, and play. And that's what we want to get it back to, where their jobs are here, and people can work at these jobs, provide for their families, their communities, their schools. That's what we want to do, is improve the lives of the people of St. Louis County. And that's what I plan to do. So thanks for your support. I'll take any questions.
I attended my first county council meeting a few months ago, and I was shocked to see Charlie Dooley's lips never moving. Is he supposed to participate?
I know some of the questions were asked to Jennifer about the process that goes on in the county council. The county executive is not a member of the council. He has no vote, okay? He can recommend certain things, but the council acts on legislation on their own. The chief counsel can recommend things like they do in normal, as Rich would know, in cities, of course. But unlike the mayor in a city who does have a vote, the county executive does not. Now, one thing the county executive does have, he is the budget king. He submits his budget, and the council has virtually no control over it. Virtually no control. Now, the budgets that I've worked with at the state level are $26 billion, $15 billion with the federal government on the Army helicopter programs. School board, of course, was $50 million. The county council budget is, the county budget is about $600 million. So in 2 of the cases, I've actually worked with budgets that are much larger than the county budget. So whereas we have hundreds of thousands of budget lines in the state budget, that we go through. The county budget's much smaller, and I feel very confident that I'm gonna be able to do that job. Look through every single line. We're gonna call in the departments and have them explain every single line of their budget. I mean, Gina's on the council, she knows how this works. This is how it works in a smaller city. The county's bigger, but we have to do the job. That's what we're getting paid for, is to go through there and find out where the money's being spent and if we can save the taxpayer dollars. So that's why as opposed to the governor and the legislature or the president and Congress, this executive has almost absolute control over the budget.
Plus, doesn't he appoint people?
Yes.
I mean, not without any opposition?
Right.
Everybody
Generally,
has to approve it, or?
well, there is a kind of an approval process, but when you have 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans, you can see that things. Again, that back to leadership. You've got to be able to pick people who are honest and have integrity, number one, and who are skilled at their jobs. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. And Charlie's been a complete failure at that. I don't think that there's any difference really between Charlie Dooley and Steve Stenger. They're both Democrats, they're both incumbents, and right now they're arguing over who's more responsible for the mess of St. Louis County. I mean, think about it. Until Steve Stenger decided to run for county executive, he voted with Charlie every time. All these appointments, all this money being spent or misspent, Steve Stenger voted for.
What was Stanger?
He's a county councilman.
Okay.
He's from the, is that the first district? No, that's, what is that down there? Second down there. So, yeah, it's not, if you want real change, vote for me, okay? Because I'm not gonna be the good old boy like Steve Stenger will and keep all those people in place and all the rules and regulations in place to help his union buddies. Our job is to create jobs in the county for everybody. Union, non-union, white, black, young, old, who cares? We just need jobs. Good paying, full-time jobs with benefits. And that's not happening right now.
Of those 2 characters we hear about a lot, which one we could put on the minute? Easier to beat.
Yeah, well, I actually beat him by almost similar amounts in this poll that was taken. If you ask me, Charlie is the incumbent. I never bet against the incumbent. People ask me who's going to win their primary. I have no idea. But I don't vote against the incumbent, especially when it's Charlie Dooley and he turns out to be Sheen up in North County. All right, so that's why Steve Stenger, I think, is sending very expensive, slick, glossy mailers to known Republicans like me, asking me to vote for him in the primary. Yeah, he sent me one. I wanted to send it back to you. You know that I'm running against you. That Stenger, he wants Republicans to get out, not vote in our primary, and go over and try to determine their primary. We don't want that to happen. Let them decide who their opponent, who their candidate's going to be. We'll stay in our primary. Hopefully you vote for me, and we'll get a good jump into the general election. If it's Charlie, I think he's easier to beat because he is the incumbent. And I don't think you're going to see any of the Stenger people going back to Charlie this time around. No, we're going to go after, whoever loses the primary, we're going to go after their supporters. But I don't see a lot of black people vote Republican. Although I do have a lot of support in the black community from the legislators, the senators and the representatives who have said, even if it's Charlie, they're going to support me. Now, when push comes to shove, we'll see how much pressure Charlie puts on him to support this white Republican guy. We'll see. You got a question?
Yeah, I was just over at the county today, and the media was over there, and I asked them what they, I thought maybe they were covering a trial, but they were actually there to cover the Booth investigation, and they want to get the FBI report released, and I think they got a shot at getting it released, and that could potentially be huge.
It's
Is that against Charlie?
Charlie, it's against Charlie. It's the health department, some guy basically embezzled $3.5 million and then killed him.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Got it.
So, again, there are so many examples of mismanagement and corruption of the Dooley administration. It's hard to document them all in a short time. I don't see how anybody could possibly vote for the guy, to be honest with you, but he will get his supporters out. He was very clever in the state representative races up in the black community up there, that he made sure there were 2 or 3 candidates in every race to drive up the vote at the primary date for those races. So it's, you know, he's got a formidable machine, but I think there are so many people who are just turned off by, even in his own community, that they may not vote for him. So we'll see. I mean, that's their decision to make. We've just got to make sure that we stay in our primary, vote for our people, and then what we don't want to do is give Stanger a big victory. Because what that will do is that will send a message to a lot of Democrats, hey, we now have the change we want from Charlie. No, we don't want that to happen. We want the election to be very close. Like I said, I'd rather fix Dooley, but you know, I'm just going to wait for them to decide what they want to do. There are so many examples of waste and mismanagement in the county government. It's not just the corruption that's out there. It's just a plethora of examples of where money has been squandered on a lot of different, and that's our tax dollars that are being squandered. It's our tax money. So we need to make sure that that money is protected and that we spend it wisely and return it to the people of the county if we don't need to spend it. Reduce the size of the bureaucracy and return the money to the people. That's what we need to do. Well, thanks for your support. Appreciate it.